Good and welcome at lunchtime, which is a masterclass on leadership positioned as a lunch and learn to help you level up your leadership and grow your potential. We are live from My Growth Academy, where our vision is kingdom standards in educational excellence. I'm a certified leadership speaker, coach, and trainer with the John Maxwell team, and I've taken on the challenge to develop 1,000 leaders worldwide through free masterclasses and weekly 90-minute mastermind sessions. My name is Simon Fune, and this is my masterclass. Before you get started, I want you to share with me in the comments what is your expectation of this class today. Welcome also to those that's watching the replay. You can also participate and place your expectations in the comments below, and let's see if we meet it. Today, I'm going to talk about the reason we don't grow as leaders, and I'll be looking at the following. I'll be introducing our topic. I'll be speaking about the assumption gap. We'll speak of why it's important, how do I overcome the assumption gap, and then ask some questions that you can consider. Now, I'm going to conclude this, and then we'll do Q&A. So if you're ready, let's go. Awesome. If you like what you hear today and want to level up your leadership skills, your potential, and your impact, look out for the registration link in this post for my weekly mastermind. This is a premium leadership group coaching program where I take you to the next level in your leadership, 90 minutes at a time. Let's talk about the reasons why we don't grow as leaders. What I'm going to introduce to you today, and in the next 8 weeks, we're going to look at what we call growth gap traps. So these are traps that you get stuck in that causes you to not grow, and that stop you from growing. And what I wanted to talk to you about today is what John Maxwell calls the assumption gap. Now, as children, we naturally grow. When we're born and we go and just do the activities that babies and toddlers and children do, we just naturally develop because we're moving and we're engaging and we're asking questions and we're inquisitive. Those are all real good qualities that we can apply in leadership as well. That baby eventually becomes a toddler, and then a child becomes what we call teens, and then a teenager. Children just grow up. But we assume that we as leaders, we're going to automatically grow without any real effort on our part. We assume that because we're alive, we are also growing. And this is not true. Growth takes effort, intention, and commitment. And to give you a good example, we can look at nature. In nature, we'll find that if you have any plant or organism that is not growing, I have a saying that I really love saying, and it is this: if you're not growing, then you'll die. And we see this in nature. If a plant is not naturally drawing resources like sunshine and water, and it is going forward and growing, what happens is it is actually dying. It is regressing in its life because it's not advancing and growing and doing the nutrients and all those kind of things. And so we see this in nature, and this is very easy and clear for us to understand. So let's talk about why it is important. Why is the assumption gap important to understand that we can see and reach our full potential? The assumption gap can prevent us from reaching our full potential. It can lead to stagnation and dissatisfaction. If we want to grow, and succeed in life and as leaders, we need to be aware of the assumption gap and take steps to overcome it. So are you aware by now? There is something called the assumption gap that stunts your growth, and it's a growth gap trap to stop you from growing into your potential and fulfilling your life's calling. So let's talk about how to overcome the assumption gap. Now, one thing that you can do is you can set for yourself growth goals. One thing that I always say and that I picked up while working with John Maxwell is that we often set goals for ourselves and we are goal oriented. And what they call these are destinations, future destinations. And often those destinations stifle us because it's always something that we're going for that's in the future. But instead of being goal conscious, I want to encourage you to be growth conscious. That every day you have small steps and incremental growth that's happening. And what happens is you have a compounding effect on your leadership and your growth. And so systematically with growing and implementing habits that you have every day, you will make small steps towards growth over time. If you spend 5 minutes on an activity that grows yourself and you do it for 365 years, let's say that grows you every day. So you would have grown with 365%. Isn't that amazing? You want to ask yourself, what do I want to improve in my life? Do I want to improve my communication with people? Do I want to improve my business bottom line? Do I want to improve my sales? Do I want to improve my relationships? If you create a plan for growth, you want to ask yourself, how am I going to achieve these goals or these growth aspirations that I have? So set goals for growth. Have a growth mindset. And every day do small things that's going to get you towards where you want to go. And the most important part is taking action. Don't just sit and wait for things to happen. You got to make it happen yourself. You want to be willing to learn from your mistakes and your challenges, because everyone makes mistakes, we know that. But the important thing is to learn from them and to improve every day on the small things that you have. I have reflections that I do at the end of the day, and I ask myself a couple of questions. One is, what did I do good today? And I write them down. This is part of my daily routine. The second question is, what could I have done better? What didn't I do very great today? And I write those down, very vulnerable, and I'm open with myself, and I say, okay, yeah, I could have, that wasn't great. And then I ask myself, how can I improve and do better tomorrow? So also, one thing that you got to do is you got to be patient. I have a saying, patience is the power that makes critical mass. And when you reach critical mass, you will have exponential results. Growth takes time. So don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately or today. You got to keep working on it. And that compounding effect over time is going to get you those results. And I can promise you, if you have daily growth habits and goals or objectives, at the end of the year or at the end of the growth period where you set yourself goals and milestones, you're going to look back and you're going to say, I am much better, and I have grown, and I have done more than I had originally had when I started this process. So I want to give you some questions to consider. But before I do that, I want to tell you two quick stories. I want to tell you about Mark Zuckerberg. We all know who he is. He's the CEO of Facebook. And in 2015, he gave a speech at Harvard where he's been a student before. And in his speech, he spoke about the importance of intentional growth. He said, I used to think that I've worked hard, I would naturally become a better leader. But I realized that's not true. I need to be intentional about my growth. I need to set growth objectives for myself and take action every day to achieve those goals. Zuckerberg went on to say that he had learned a lot about leadership by reading books, attending workshops, and talking to other leaders as well, remember that you are the combination of your 6 closest friends and associates. So it's important that our environment is conducive to growth and to impact ourselves. There's no such thing as natural leadership. If you want to be a successful leader, you need to be willing to put in the work and learn from your mistakes, and do that on a daily basis. In 2018, Sheryl Sandberg, who's the CEO of Facebook, wrote a book called Lean In: Women, Work, and the Will to Lead. In this book, she talked about the challenges that women face in leadership roles. She said one of the biggest challenges is the assumption that women will naturally grow as leaders. This is simply not true. Women need to be intentional about their growth just as much as men do. So Sandberg went on to say that women can overcome the assumption gap by setting goals for themselves, taking action to achieve those goals, and seeking out mentors and sponsors. She also said that it's important for women to be supportive of each other and to create a culture of inclusion in the workplace. Sandberg's story is a reminder to all of us that the assumption gap is a real challenge that people face in their leadership. However, it's a challenge that can be overcome with hard work and something called intentionality. If you read the book, 15 Invaluable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell, one of the laws that he shares is the law of intentionality. Intentionally growing every day, intentionally putting in objectives that make you grow. So I want to give you a couple of questions that you can write down, and this will help you on your process to grow. The first one is, what are some areas in my life where I could be growing? Where could I be growing? And then go and take action and write down areas in your life where you could or where you want to grow. The next question is, what are some goals I could set for these growth objectives that I have? And then intentionally go and write down those goals or those objectives. Don't just leave it there. Now ask yourself, what steps can I take to achieve my goals? What can I do to obtain these objectives? Next question, and second last, what are some challenges that I might face in my growth journey? You want to maybe identify them and expect them before they come. So you're not frazzled and have a problem, but that immediately when they come, you know that they were coming and you have a plan. And then lastly, obviously, how can I overcome these challenges? Write those down. Write these questions down. And I want to challenge you to go and take action on these and go intentionally make something happen. So in conclusion, the assumption gap is a real thing, but it is not something that you cannot get over or conquer. With effort, intention, and commitment, you can overcome the assumption gap and achieve your full potential. Question and answers, Q&A. Do you have any questions? Post them in the comments below so we can answer them for you. And I'll ask you a question. What did you learn today? What is the one thing that you're going to take away today that you can go and apply in your leadership role, in your leadership journey, and to intentionally grow? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And while I'm waiting for you, I'd like to say, if you like what you heard today, want to level up your leadership potential, skills, and impact, look for the registration link below for my weekly mastermind. This is a premium leadership group coaching program where I take you to the next level in your leadership, 90 minutes at a time. And so as we approach the end and we're expecting that question, I want to just conclude by saying, be aware that there is a growth gap trap called the assumption gap. And that is the assumption that I will naturally grow. I don't have to do anything. I'm just going to grow in my daily being. And yes, you'll grow a little bit, but if you want to really exponentially grow and reach your full potential, you want to intentionally go and put in objectives for yourself to intentionally grow every day and to reach your full potential. Thank you for joining me today. I'm extremely honored that you were here, And I'm looking forward to engaging with you again in the future. Remember that we are talking about growth gap traps, and I'm unpacking concepts in John Maxwell's book, The 15 Inviolable Laws of Leadership. And we're unpacking 8 growth gap traps. And this was the first one, which is the gap of assumption, or the assumption gap. Looking forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in the next one.